Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm thrilled to be today here with Naviant to talk about solutions for Microsoft 365, specifically our Onbase integrations for Office and Outlook. The lines have been muted. We are recording the session. The slides will also be available afterwards. But in order to make this as interactive as possible in this virtual world, please do not hesitate to type any questions that you might have into the Q&A or any conversation into the chat. I'll be doing my best to monitor that as we go. So for years and years, Hyland's Onbase product has had integrations with both the Microsoft Office suite, and we traditionally think of that as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Office's Outlook email platform as well. You know, in the early desktop days of these integrations, we stereotypically think of the Office business application. This brings an Onbase tabbed ribbon into Microsoft Office so that users can open documents from Onbase, work on them, save them back into Onbase's revisions. But then as time progressed, we were able to do so much more. We could upload another file. We could use a document template. We could have a discussion or collaborate around the document. Many of the Onbase features were brought in to the Office application. And for those that lived in Excel, lived in Word, lived in PowerPoint, this was the place to be. So we brought Onbase to them. The downfall, of course, and it has gotten us in more recent days, is that this requires the full Microsoft Office application to be installed locally on the desktop. And while many organizations are still using desktop-based versions, even though they may be subscribing through Office 365, there are some that just are not. Any questions about these traditional desktop applications, please type those into the chat. I'm happy to answer. We have one as well, of course, for Microsoft Outlook. This is affectionately referred to as the fourth Onbase client because nearly 80% of Unity client features are actually surfaced in Microsoft Outlook. So it's so much more than just bringing in emails and attachments. It's searching for content, processing items through workflow. And you can even open up a scan queue and use interactive data capture to swipe and rope and grab keywords off of an image document to index directly from the Outlook client. That's just how rich it is. But of course, again, this does require not only a local install of that Outlook application, but also a local install of the Onbase integration components as well. And as a result, we needed to re-architect some of these solutions. I can tell you that these two integrations that exist today, the Office Business Application and the integration for Outlook, they're not going anywhere. They will be around for the foreseeable future, but we are working to build integrations with web-based versions of the Office products, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, I will say that you may be using a desktop-based version of Outlook. Exchange can be online. You may be subscribing via 365. As long as that desktop-based application is installed on the desktop, our legacy integrations, even though I hate to use the word legacy, but they have been around for many years, so maybe they've earned that name, can still work with the Office products. So we can still use our Onbase integration with those desktop-based products, even if Exchange is hosted and all of that. So I set that up as just kind of the very brief history lesson as we dive into the topics for today, which are the Onbase integrated Office viewer and the new Outlook Office add-in. And I hope to generate some excitement about both of these new offerings. I personally am thrilled about the capabilities that our Onbase integrations now have for the web-based versions of some of these Office products. And we'll talk about each one individually. The first has been around since Onbase Foundation EP1, truthfully longer than that, but we really re-architected it in EP1. And so if you want to take advantage of it, I would suggest that you be on Onbase Foundation EP1 or greater. And this is the Onbase Integrated Office Viewer, which is backed by the Hyland Office Broker. So the Onbase Integrated Office Viewer essentially allows the ability to view, edit, and co-author Office documents inside of Onbase without Office installed. And this is really revolutionary because In the old days, and likely how you might be working with Office documents today in Onbase, is that we are clicking on that Word document within our document hit list and looking for the Office application installed locally to render the document inside of Onbase. What this does is it decouples Onbase from Office, allowing you the flexibility to upgrade to a new version of Office or of Onbase without having to worry about version dependencies. It also allows you, without having any local Office or Onbase install, to edit and co-author Office documents while maintaining them inside of Onbase. So we've got the retention, the routing through workflow, all of the document history. This also means that these Word documents, let's say, are going to load faster because we don't have to spin up Office on the desktop. And it makes the process of editing and co-authoring Office documents more consistent between Onbase clients, client, web, Unity, Outlook, etc. And I really do think that a picture paints 1,000 words. So let's see some software. Here we are in the Onbase web client, and we're viewing a Word document. Traditionally today, for those of you that are using the web, you might be using the Office Business application. You might be faced with a scenario where the Word document is opening outside of Onbase. If you're using the Unity client, you're still seeing this Word document inside of the Unity client, but Office is installed locally on the desktop. This eliminates that in all of our Onbase clients, that local desktop install. I'm going to show you the web version because it does allow for both Onbase and Office to be web-based and not installed locally. So I'm viewing this document. I don't have Office installed. It looks beautiful. I'm clicking on my list. Now I want to edit this document in a browser. This is where we're going to do our co-authoring in Word on the web. And we are actually tapping in to a microservice that is connecting your Onbase application to the Office Online technology in Microsoft's cloud. And you see here that we have more than one Onbase Office user editing this document at once, making their changes. Now we have the best of both worlds. The document is secure in Onbase, connected to the transaction, yet all of our productivity tools are here. And the great news is that we have all of our users and all of the activity that they took on the document all logged within Onbase document history. So I can see the changes in real time. Users can collaborate and comment, yet once it's saved, it's properly revisioned back in Onbase with all of these changes. Okay, thank you for letting me know about the sound. It sounds like it is back on now. I'll keep checking the chat, so if that's the case, let me know. Thank you though for the comment, Jen. I want to be sure everyone can hear me, most importantly, of course. All right, so now let's see this in action. So we have the basics for what it is. I'd like to just show you a brief demo, and it's only about 2 minutes. So here I am logging into my Onbase Foundation client. Again, in the web, you'll see a consistent experience in the Unity client. You can see Word kind of load there behind the scenes. That is the integrated Office viewer presenting this document. The user chooses to edit the document. In order to do the editing, they will need a named Office account. So they do log in, and of course, this is one of those scenarios like don't show me again for a certain amount of time, but there will be some times when they will need to re-authenticate, but it'll use single sign-on there. And now they're opening the document in Word on the web, and they're able to make any updates, changes, revisions to the document. So now the one user is editing the document. You can see we've added this revision too. It's about time because this document hasn't been updated since 2019. And then once the document and the user is done making all their changes, and of course we could highlight, we could put something in red, the document is saved then as a revision back in Onbase. And we did get a question from Frank, and I'll answer that as we're kind of watching here. Does this work on-prem? Hosted Office Online Server installs it? Absolutely does. So you can install the Office Online Server within your environment and connect your Onbase system to that. Or you can use, Frank, as I mentioned, that microservice, which we kind of dub the Hyland Office Broker, which will then make the connection from your Onbase on-prem or Onbase Online instance to the Microsoft's cloud. So it really just depends. If you want to host those Office Online servers yourself, which you certainly can, and keep everything within your environment, or you want to remove that architecture, that maintenance, that administration, and have us make that connection to the Microsoft Cloud. And so now here we see back in Onbase, this document is properly revisioned. We're now on version 9, and let's say we want to make some more changes. So we're going to go back in, and this is where it gets really cool because you're able to take advantage of the co-authoring capabilities that the Office Online applications provide. So if you look at the very top under the simplified ribbon, you see that Andrew is also editing. So me, Colleen, and Andrew are both in this document making changes at the same time. Andrew and Colleen have both accessed this document from Onbase. They are Onbase users, so is Jessica, she's here too now, as well as named Office Online accounts. So both of those components now need to come into play. We're all in here, we're making our edits, our updates, maybe we're adding comments, and this works on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files. Sometimes I will get the question, what if the user is not an Onbase user? They do need to be an Onbase user because they are accessing the document from Onbase itself, not some file share. So they have authenticated into Onbase and then they authenticate into Office Online, whether it's inside your four walls or out. And you can see here that now the document has been saved and revisioned back into Onbase. Now I have closed out, and we saw that little warning at the top. That just meant that Andrew or Jessica was still in there making changes. Now, once we're all three out of the document, you notice here that our employee handbooks has been updated to 10 because all of those Onbase users have exited the document and made their changes. Now, lastly, all of the edits and changes that were made are now reflected in the document. All right, so I want to tell you one quick story before we move on to the new Office Outlook add-in, and that is an insurance company customer of Hyland's that was using the Office Online server, and that's what we had and still do have, but that was our first iteration of this technology, which was pre-Foundation EP1. They're an insurance company, Onbase on-prem. They use a lot of Office documents within their policy claims and underwriting, and they had our Office integration. So their challenge was that they had multiple versions of Office within their organization. They had all these Onbase documents that were Word documents, but different departments were using different versions of Onbase. Some were locally installed, some were in the cloud, some would have been 2019, some would have been Office 2021. And they had this big desire to move everybody to Office 365. They could, and as Frank asked, host the Office Online server installs internally. And that's actually what they started with initially, but found that there was some maintenance involved in keeping those Office Online servers up to date with the latest Office Online technology. So their desire was to continue to still use the integrated Office viewer, but they wanted to eliminate the need to host the Office Online servers. So they took advantage of our Hyland Office Broker. And now here is what the architecture looks like, not to get overly technical, but we've got our traditional Onbase database and disk groups, our app server. And then we want to connect to office.com to present the document, to allow the editing and the collaboration. And so the on-prem app server connects them to the Hyland broker in the Microsoft Office cloud, the Hyland broker for Microsoft Office in the Hyland cloud. That microservice is then connecting to office.com to serve the document in that Office viewer. So right there in the Hyland cloud, even if you are an on-prem customer, is this microservice that we provide called the Hyland broker that will actually make that connection to office.com. In this particular customer, they now had a consistent web-based experience regardless of the version of Onbase. They improved the speed at which users were able to access and edit and collaborate on Office documents while keeping them securely stored in Onbase. And as a result, they were able to retire 5 internal servers because they were no longer hosting these Office Online technologies in their organization. And their manager within their app development group said the Hyland Office Broker, that little microservice, allowed us to easily integrate Onbase to Microsoft Office 365 without having to maintain internal servers or connectors. So a huge win there. And that is the integrated Office viewer. It in and of itself does not cost anything if you desire to procure the Office Online server yourself. If you would rather use the Hyland Office Broker service, there is a small annual fee for that service that is hosted in the Hyland cloud. So I will check the questions. If there are any questions on the integrated office viewer, how this Hyland broker service works, please let me know. It really is incredible technology that will improve the lives of your Onbase users that work frequently with Office documents. Doesn't look like there is anything just yet. So let's move on next to the new Outlook Office add-in. I don't know that there is anyone at Hyland more excited about this than me. For years, I've been the evangelist for integration for Microsoft Outlook, and always was the question, do we support web-based versions of Outlook? And the answer to that question was no until now. So this was first released with Onbase Foundation 23.1, but know that it is supported in both EP5 and 22.1 because it's on its own release cycle or cadence. So you don't necessarily have to upgrade. Of course, we'd love you to Foundation 23.1 in order to use this. In our first release, the Microsoft 365 Outlook Office add-in, yes, I apologize, it's a bit of a mouthful, will allow users to import emails and attachments as a single EML file into Onbase directly from web-based versions of Outlook. And so now the good news here is that we're using modern technology. This is actually a different add-in technology provided to us by Microsoft that eliminates the need for local desktop installs. We call it the Hyland Microsoft 365 Outlook Office add-in because there is this future vision to support other Hyland content repositories as well. Just like our integrated Office viewer, it's cross-platform. We're no longer worried about versions of Outlook. There is one add-in regardless of Outlook deployment. We support both web and desktop, Windows and Mac, and this is what adds explicit support for Outlook on the web and Microsoft 365 subscribers. And we support a hybrid deployment. Onbase can be on-prem, Exchange online. Onbase could be hosted in the Hyland cloud, Exchange might be online, and this new add-in is now centrally deployed within the Microsoft 365 tenant. So how it works is instead of installing this on the desktop, we're actually installing it from that Hyland, from that Microsoft 365 tenant in the Microsoft cloud. We're installing our Hyland Outlook add-in on both desktop-based installs and web installs, if you choose to go this new route. If you still want to do the old desktop version, you can do that too. So let's take a look. I'm looking here at my Outlook online account, and I don't have the integration installed yet, so I want to get the add-in to install it. And I'm going to go to my add-ins and look specifically at the custom add-ins that are available. Administrators will manage what add-ins are available, and they will also separately have an option to install it for users that need it. I'm going in here and I'm doing it kind of manually so that you can see the process, but it could be automatically installed as well. You'll notice here that it's called the Hyland content, and again, that's because it is not necessarily going to be specific to Onbase forever. We see the little description, we see that it's been added, and now when I come back in and I look at my email, I see my little green H right there, which means that the add-in has been installed. So we see that in the context menu in Outlook in the browser. I open it up, I want to import this message. I'm going to select manually my document type group, my document type, and enter all of my keywords. All of the indexing is manually done at this first iteration. So the user is entering all of the metadata, although of course we do support required keywords and some data set capabilities, of course, the Onbase features. When all of that is entered, I click import, and the document is now successfully imported into Onbase. And we see here that the import is complete. We also can notice that if a user tries to import a document again, that the email has already been imported. So this is a nice bonus feature above actually what our desktop-based version of the Outlook integration is capable of today. So we see it on both the header message itself. This email was imported by you. But then when I go in to click the import, I see again that the email has already been imported. So a really nice bonus feature. Right here is that message on the email itself. So what are some of the key features? First, you'll be importing emails and attachments as a single EML file. So they will be imported together. There's not currently a way to break the attachment out separately from the email message, but that is certainly high up on our list, as are some additional automated import and indexing features. But manual keyword indexing does include this keyword is required, it needs to be masked, some data sets, things like that. And of course, we showed off that already imported indicator. So these EML files, they contain the message and the embedded attachment as a single file. James is asking, can the already imported tell if another person has already imported the email itself? And James, I believe that they can. So it will say that the message has already been imported. I will double check on that for you just to confirm, because I haven't had experience with that myself. But my understanding is that because this is all from that single instance storage exchange server, it will indicate that the message has already been imported by another Onbase user. But I will follow up on that and I will let you know, sir. All right, so let's round out with some benefits of this new Outlook Office add-in. The first is that it's supporting the variety of Outlook versions. For those of you that are familiar with our existing add-in, it is certainly going to be more stable than the COM-based VSTO integrations. So that's good. There were, sometimes some hiccups that old add-in would get disabled. All of those problems have been solved. The good news is it's backwards compatible to Foundation EP5. It's on its own independent release cadence with more frequent releases, so you don't have to wait until the next release of Onbase Foundation to get updates to the integration itself. And it provides the architectural runway for us to make and create future Office 365 add-ins similar to our OBA type applications. And I agree with you, James, that it should, if it's using that email identifier, that unique identifier for the email, it should know that someone already imported it. It's just a matter of me confirming that we added the ability to recognize that on our end, which I believe that we did, but I want someone smarter than me to validate that for me so that I can tell you for sure. And we'll round out with this. So the licensing, if you are on the simplified, the legacy model, and you have our integration for Microsoft Outlook, you don't need anything else. This is included with our integration for Microsoft Outlook server licenses. We will consume a named or concurrent client when that user interacts with Onbase. If you have moved to the simplified model, which I hope many of you are considering, no new license, and as long as you've got the essential user tier, you've got this covered. In terms of architecture, EP5 or greater. However, you will need the Hyland IDP and the API server, as well as a new component, Hyland MCA, which stands for Metadata Content Extraction. It's a new architectural enabler service. This is the first integration that uses it. Those pieces do not require any additional licensing, but of course, there is a little bit of upskilling required if you haven't worked with the IDP before or the Onbase API server to learn and install those new technologies. So we have talked today in just under 30 minutes about the new integrated Office Viewer Foundation EP1 or greater, and the brand new 23.1 Microsoft 365 Outlook Office add-in. This is really just the beginning of our Hyland add-ins for Microsoft 365 Office technologies, and I can't wait to see what's next. We should have another iteration of this, maybe even as soon as Q1 2024, where we'll see some more automated indexing and import features. In the meantime, if you are on EP5 or greater, you have an opportunity to grab this and start playing around with it in your environment, see how it works, give us some feedback, maybe start bringing some emails into Onbase and go from there. With that, I thank you all so much for your time and attention today. That's all I've got. I'll hang on the line. If there are any more additional questions, I would be happy to answer them here. If not, in case I don't see you, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, and I look forward to sharing more with you all in 2024.